Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over the best way to quickly improve your aim on controller Fortnite. Now, this video is basically going to contain two different things. The first is a really effective and really quick aim training routine specifically for controller players. It's going to use the most popular and effective aim training maps out there that you guys have probably seen before, but some of the drills on these maps are plain and simple not good for controller players. I'm a firm believer, and most other controller pros agree with this. If an aim training drill doesn't give you aim assist, it really isn't going to help you because you're always going to have aim assist when you fight in real games. It would be like if an NBA player decided to practice free throws with a ball that's larger than regulation size. Like, yeah, I guess it might be better than nothing, but why would you ever do that when you could just practice with a regular sized ball? Now, the routine I'm going to share in this video literally takes maybe 10 minutes tops, so it's something that's barely going to take away from your actual in-game playtime. And then once I've showcased that, the second part of this video will just be some general tips that'll help you aim and aim train more effectively. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first part of this routine takes place on the Aim Agency Routine 1 map by Tito. Now, this is probably the most popular aim training map in the game right now because Aimer7 made a whole guide about how to use it, but that was mostly directed towards mouse and keyboard players, so we're gonna change some things. So there's 5 different drills on this first map, and their general advice is to just do all 5 of them in order from left to right. But in my opinion, there's only 3 of them that are actually worth doing if you're on controller. So you want to skip the tile frenzy and actually start with the horizontal drill. This one's pretty self-explanatory if you watch the gameplay. You're given an SMG, you want to stand on the little pyramid tile that you spawn on, start the game, and then 2 unlimited health zombies will spawn in that just bounce all over the place in a horizontal motion. I personally like to sort of alternate between ADSing and non-ADSing depending on how close the zombies get to me, because that's basically how I'd aim against a real player in an actual fight. So the purpose of this one is pretty obvious based on the name. It's a drill that's designed to specifically focus on improving your close range horizontal tracking. Now, I think this one is especially important for controller because close range tracking is basically our bread and butter, especially with SMGs. So do that drill 1 full time, which is only a measly 60 seconds total, then return to the hub and move on to the next one, which is called vertical. This drill is a little less straightforward than the last one, so let me explain it. You're going to spawn in with an SMG and start the game, and then there are going to be 3 robots in 3 different directions at 3 different levels of height. What you want to do is strafe, jump, and just constantly move while non-ADS firing at one of the robots, and then once you kill it, move on to the next one. This drill helps you focus a bit on vertical tracking and switching between targets, but I mostly like it because it helps me focus on strafing and jumping while shooting, which is super important in SMG and shotgun fights. So again, simply do 1 run of that for 60 seconds and then return back to the lobby. So that's actually it for the routines that you want to do on Aim Agency Map 1 because the other 3 are just way too heavily based around props that don't give aim assist. So after that, you want to return to the hub and move on to the Aim Agency Part 2, which in my opinion is a lot better for controller players as a whole. So on this map, you don't want to skip the first drill, and this time it's called Bounce. You're going to spawn with a Scar, and there are going to be about 3 to 5 different zombies bouncing around all over the place, both horizontally and vertically. All these zombies are one-shot, so what you want to do is stay ADS pretty much the entire time, and basically focus on shooting 1 shot to kill each of them with first shot accuracy. This not only helps you with both your horizontal and vertical AR tracking, but it also gets you more comfortable with using first shot accuracy, and it helps with your target switching while shooting as well. So 60 seconds of that, and then you're good to move on to the next one. So number 2 is another drill that's simply labeled horizontal, but it's significantly different than the horizontal drill from the first map. This time you're going to be sandwiched between 4 robots that are shooting at you at all times, and your goal is to constantly be hip firing them while strafing and jumping to avoid shots. I honestly don't think I've ever survived all 60 seconds of this drill, but if you can live at least 30 to 40 seconds or so before your first death, that's a pretty solid sign that you're doing this correctly. Then, just like in map number 1, once you finished horizontal, you want to move on to vertical, and this one is also different. You're going to spawn with attack SMG again, and there will be zombies going straight up and down all around you. Each time you kill one, a new one spawns in, so you always have something to shoot at. I feel like this is another drill that's pretty self-explanatory here. You're working on your vertical tracking, which is super important in SMG fights, especially because people just love to jump while shooting. You then want to skip the fountain map and do the final one, which is named parkour. Now this one is definitely the most interesting drill, to say the least. You're basically just going to run through a bunch of different rooms with zombies and robots in them that you obviously want to shoot, but you're going to be constantly propelled by things like bouncers and ice blocks that make it a bit difficult to do so. So this drill is really all about shotgun aim while you're moving and while the targets are moving as well, and that's obviously important because it's very rare that you or your enemy is going to be stationary in a shotgun fight. So this course goes for 2 minutes instead of the typical 1 minute like all the other drills, and your goal should be to complete the entire thing in that time frame, or at least get very close. So after you've done that, you've completed the entire aim training routine. So when I said 10 minutes or under at the beginning of this video, I truly meant it. In total, you do 6 drills, 2 on the first map, 4 on the second, and in total they should take you 7 minutes combined. So when you account for loading time in and out of maps and each individual drill, it really is only about 8 to 10 minutes total, and that's something you want to do each time you load up Fortnite. Not only will it help you warm up your aim for the session that you're actually about to play, but what's even more important is that it helps you improve your aiming skill in the long run. It won't happen right away, so don't expect that, and I don't think there's anything that can significantly improve your aim right away, but if you do this routine consistently at least once a day, which really isn't too much to ask for, I think once a few weeks have gone by, you'll really start to see some noticeable improvements. So now that we've established that, I want to talk about a really interesting aiming tip from Aimer7. As I mentioned earlier, he helped make both of the aim training maps that you saw in this video, and he's known as the best pro aiming coach for Fortnite and various other games as well. He actually wrote an entire paper about aim training and how to do it better, and I want to read one short excerpt that I found really interesting. It says, aiming by focusing directly at the target increases your reading skills and therefore improves reactivity. Aiming by focusing on the crosshair makes you smoother, more precise, and more aware of your crosshair position with respect to the target. If we believe this theory, then focusing on the enemy model is better for close range situations and against good dodgers, while focusing on the crosshair is better at long range situation against bad dodgers, and it'll increase your first shot timing because you're more aware of the exact crosshair position. So that's actually a really interesting theory, and when I first read it, I wasn't really sure if I agreed with it or not. So then what I decided to do was hop into a few matches and basically test it out. Now I'm totally willing to admit that this easily could have just been a placebo effect, but I really did feel like my AR aim specifically was better when I focused on the crosshair instead of the player. When you think about it, if you're shooting at someone with your AR, they're probably far enough away to where they're taking up a relatively small space on your screen. And because of that, their movements are much less erratic in general. If you're shooting at someone who's jumping 100 meters away, you're barely going to need to move your crosshair to follow them. So because of that, AR aim is much more about guiding your crosshair in the correct general area and then making very slight adjustments to follow the enemy. With close range aim on the other hand, anytime an enemy jumps or strafes, they're going to move a considerable amount on your screen, therefore you need to make pretty major aim adjustments to follow them. So your eyes shouldn't be focused on the crosshair because that's going to impact your vision of the enemy and make it harder to track them. You instead want to focus on their body and almost try to mimic their movements with your crosshair. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I believe that's pretty much what Aimer7 was trying to say, and hopefully that summary made it a little bit easier to understand in regards to Fortnite aim. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Simple yes or no question here. When you guys load up Fortnite, do you typically do any kind of aim training or practice before or after playing real games? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.